Usually when we think about the fashion industry, we picture the glamour of the runway,
Oh, totally. The lights, the music.
right? The perfectly timed lights, the carefully choreographed walk, the flawless final look. It all seems so beautifully controlled.
Yeah, controlled is definitely the word, or at least the illusion of control.
Exactly. Because if you step backstage right now in 2026, you won't see a tightly choreographed show at all. You see something that looks, honestly, a lot more like a chaotic, high-stakes trading floor.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The industry has officially accepted that relentless, unpredictable volatility isn't just a phase anymore. It's, well, it is simply the baseline reality.
Yeah.
The illusion of total control is completely gone. Behind the scenes, the executives running these massive global brands, they're navigating a landscape that actively shifts under their feet on a daily basis.
Like every single day.
Every day. Every assumption they had about, where to make clothes, how to sell them, and who is actually buying them, it's all been completely upended.
And that's really our mission today. We are going to cut through that noise. We've got our hands on a really massive, data-packed resource for this deep dive.
A fantastic report.
It really is. It's the State of Fashion 2026 by McKinsey and the Business of Fashion. And it includes incredibly candid interviews with top CEOs from, Levi's, Burberry, Swarovski, The Real.
Some really heavy hitters.
Right. We're not just going to give you a list of what colors are trending this fall.
No, this is much bigger than that.
We are going to show you how a massive global trade shock triggered this wild domino effect, basically forcing brands to embrace artificial intelligence just to survive.
Which is completely rewiring how you, the consumer, shop for everything, from secondhand jackets to smart glasses.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the macroeconomic reality that kicked off this entire chain reaction.
Right, so that catalyst is really the sheer turbulence of global tariffs. If you look at the executive survey data from this year's report, the #1 word leaders use to describe the industry right now is challenging. Challenging, not uncertain.
Exactly. It has officially overthrown uncertainty, which, really dominated the discourse for the last half decade.
Right, because uncertainty implies you just don't know what's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Challenging means the hit has already landed, and now you just have to survive it.
And the size of that hit is literally staggering. I mean, U.S. tariffs on apparel and footwear imports, they caused this massive shockwave across the entire global supply chain.
It was unprecedented.
We saw the average tariff rate spike from roughly 13% to an astronomical 54%.
And that happened almost overnight.
Right. And even though it eventually settled around 36%, that new floor completely breaks the traditional math of making clothes.
It really does, because that kind of margin pressure, it physically redraws the global trade map. I mean, supply chains that took 30 years of meticulous optimization to build,
Decades of work.
they're being rerouted in a matter of months. Like, U.S. imports from China are down 30% compared to 2019 levels.
Wow. 30%. Yeah. And to compensate, imports from places like Cambodia have surged by 42%. Brands are frantically searching the globe for these sourcing hubs where the math actually still works.
But, I mean, those costs don't just magically absorb into the ether, right? They roll downhill right towards your wallet.
Unfortunately, yes.
The report says 55% of executives anticipate increasing retail prices just to cope with this. And it brings to mind a very specific visual for me.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's like playing Jenga on a moving train.
Ah, that's a great way to put it.
Right. Brands are desperately trying to balance these surging input costs and massive supply chain shifts, violently pulling blocks out from the bottom of their operations, all while trying not to let the entire pricing structure topple over in front of the consumer.
That is exactly what's happening. And Levi's is the perfect case study for how to actually play that game of Jenga without losing.
Oh, how so?
Well, their CEO, Michelle Gass, realized that you can't just hike prices and hope for the best. You have to aggressively strip away internal complexity. Levi's operates in 120 countries, and historically, they maintained totally different product assortments for every single region. Less than 10% of their product line was common globally.
Wait, less than 10%? That's insane for a brand that big.
It is, but they recently bumped that up to 40% common global product.
Wow.
And they've also ruthlessly cut down on their unproductive SKUs, meaning, individual product lines or specific styles, especially around the holidays.
Okay, I see. So the mechanism there is simple, but really highly effective. If you produce fewer niche styles, you drastically reduce the inventory you have to hold in warehouses.
Exactly.
And then you completely eliminate the need to aggressively discount all that unsold inventory in January. You defend your profit margins by simply offering less.
Right, you streamline.
But I have to push back here. Even with Levi's streamlining their global SKUs, if 55% of brands are passing tariff costs down by raising retail prices, aren't they going to completely alienate the average shopper?
It's a huge risk.
Because with basic inflation, people are already exhausted.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, passing those costs down only works if a brand possesses immense, unshakable loyalty.
Like true luxury brands.
Yes, a company with a highly differentiated luxury product can command that higher price. But for the vast majority of the market, the consumer will simply walk away.
Right.
Brands are acutely aware that the price elasticity of like a basic t-shirt has a hard limit. Because they cannot infinitely raise prices to cover the tariff gap, they are forced to find ultimate operational efficiency elsewhere.
And that margin squeeze is the exact catalyst driving the industry's total pivot to artificial intelligence, isn't it?
100%. They aren't adopting AI because it's some fun, futuristic pilot program.
No, it's survival.
They're doing it because they have to cut overhead drastically. Just look at what European e-commerce giants like Zalando are doing behind closed doors.
Oh, the image generation stuff.
Yes, they deployed generative AI to produce their product images, cutting the production timeline from weeks to literally just days.
Which is wild.
The resulting cost reduction is 90%.
90%.
Yeah. That isn't a minor operational tweak. That is a fundamental rewiring of the business model.
But the back office savings are just the immediate survival tactic, right? Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the true disruption is happening on the consumer-facing side.
Oh, absolutely.
AI is no longer just, generating images of sweaters on a website. It is fundamentally altering how you, the consumer, discover that sweater in the first place.
Exactly. The search behavior is changing completely.
Yeah, shopping-related searches on generative AI platforms skyrocketed by 4,700% year over year.
That number is just staggering.
By the second quarter of 2025, 53% of U.S. consumers who used AI for search used it specifically to help them shop. We are witnessing the real-time death of traditional search engine optimization.
We really are. Traditional SEO is being rapidly cannibalized by GEO, generative engine optimization.
Yeah.
James Cadwallader, the CEO of the AI search startup Profound, he points out this massive shift. For the entire history of internet commerce, brands wrote their website content for human beings to read.
Right, like catchy copy, lifestyle blogs, emotional storytelling.
Exactly. But today, they must format their content specifically for bots.
So instead of clever copywriting, brands are reformatting their websites with dense, hidden metadata arrays.
Yes. They have to structure their data so that when a user asks ChatGPT for the best luxury sustainable sneakers, the AI's crawler can instantly ingest the fabric composition, the supply chain origin, and the price point in milliseconds.
And if your site isn't optimized for the bot's logic, the AI just won't recommend you. You effectively cease to exist.
You're invisible.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But we are now entering the era of agentic AI, which the report projects to be a $3 to $5 trillion market by 2030.
3 to 5 trillion. It's massive.
We are moving past AI just recommending things.
Yeah.
We are talking about autonomous AI shopping agents that will negotiate, securely input your payment details, and actually buy items on your behalf.
They'll do the whole transaction.
But I have to challenge the reality of this, though. Fashion is highly emotional, It's tied to our identity and how we want the world to perceive us.
Of course.
It is not a functional utility like buying a toaster. Do people actually want a cold, logical algorithm making their personal style choices?
Well, this raises an important question about friction versus emotion. The data indicates that agentic AI isn't going to replace the emotional resonance you feel toward a specific brand aesthetic.
Okay.
It's going to replace the friction of the hunt.
Oh, I like that. The friction of the hunt.
Right. You still have the emotional desire for, say, a vintage leather jacket, but the AI does the grueling work of scouring 50 different platforms, verifying the authenticity, comparing the price history, and checking the delivery logistics.
That actually sounds amazing when you put it that way.
Consumers are actually leaning into this. 41% of people say they trust generative AI search results more than traditional paid search ads.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because paid ads feel inherently biased by whoever has the biggest marketing budget. The AI agent feels like a hyper-competent, totally objective personal shopper working exclusively for you.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Okay.
So the consumer is being squeezed by tariff-driven price hikes on one side and having their entire discovery process rewired by AI on the other.
Exactly. They're caught in the middle.
But they aren't just taking it. The consumer is actively fighting back by demanding true, undeniable value. And that demand is fueling explosive growth in two seemingly distinct lifestyle shifts: secondhand resale and holistic well-being.
Yes, the resale data is wild. The secondhand fashion market is currently projecting to hit $317 billion by 2027.
$317 billion.
And it's growing 2 to 3 times faster than the primary market. China is emerging as a massive new catalyst here, with over 70% of Chinese consumers now planning to shop resale. That is a monumental cultural shift away from the stigma of worn goods, driven entirely by the desire for premium quality at an accessible price.
And what's making this explosion sustainable is that the platforms themselves are finally cracking the unit economics.
Right. Profitability was always the issue.
Because for years, the logistics of inspecting and authenticating millions of unique, one-off used items, it required human experts, which completely ate up the profit margin.
It was so labor-intensive.
But now, Vinted just grew their net profit by over 330% in a single year.
Incredible.
And The RealReal also turned profitable. Their CEO, Roddy Sahi-Levesque, explained that they're using AI vision technology paired with pixel-level hardware.
And the mechanism there is a total game changer.
How so?
Well, rather than a human spending 20 minutes inspecting a handbag, an AI scanner physically inspects the microscopic grain of the leather and the exact metallurgical composition of the hardware in 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
3 seconds, for fractions of a penny. It instantly authenticates the item and blocks the rising tide of sophisticated fakes or dupes.
Which are getting really good, by the way.
So good. But that technological leap fundamentally changes the profit margins of a warehouse while simultaneously guaranteeing authenticity for the buyer.
I mean, resale used to be the digital equivalent of digging through a dusty thrift store bin hoping to get lucky.
Right.
Now, armed with pixel-level AI authentication, it functions more like a high-tech, highly liquid stock exchange for your closet.
That's exactly what it is.
And while consumers are optimizing their wardrobes, they're also shifting their core identity toward wellness.
Yeah.
84% of U.S. consumers and 94% of Chinese consumers view well-being as a top day-to-day priority.
And brands are recognizing this shift from material accumulation to experiential value. They're engaging in this architectural arms race to build what are known as third spaces.
Like hangout spots.
Yeah. Kith is opening a members club in New York City called Kith Ivy, featuring rooftop paddle courts and an Armani spa equipped with IV drips.
Wait, IV drips at a clothing store?
Yes. Alo Yoga is hosting luxury wellness retreats. It's happening everywhere.
It's a clear rejection of the fast fashion dopamine hit. Consumers are exhausted by the endless cycle of micro-trends fueled by social media. They are redirecting their spending toward things that offer lasting value, like an authenticated vintage coat, and genuine community, like a padel court at a flagship store.
So if consumers are spending their disposable income on secondhand stock exchanges and luxury IV drips, it forces us to look at where they're actually willing to splurge on new physical items.
Right.
The data points to 2 rapidly exploding accessory categories that perfectly thread the needle between tech, value, and style. The first is lab-grown diamonds.
This one blew my mind. Jewelry unit sales are projected to grow 4 times faster than clothing over the next few years.
4 times.
Because lab-grown diamonds possess the exact same chemical, optical, and physical properties as mined diamonds, but the prices are 80 to 90% lower.
Which completely changes the market.
They are on track to capture 50% of the total diamond market by 2030.
Right, because that extreme price drop completely fractures the traditional psychology of fine jewelry. Historically, diamonds were tied to massive life milestones and engagement, a 10th anniversary. You waited for a partner to gift it to you. At 80% less, that barrier to entry just evaporates.
And we see that in the data. 42% of women report buying more jewelry for themselves now.
Self-purchasing is huge.
Alexis Nassard, the CEO of Swarovski, detailed the incredible success of their mid-tier complexity products in the U.S. These are intricate, visually stunning pieces that don't cost the equivalent of a down payment on a car.
Right.
Women are purchasing them as a Tuesday treat, transforming fine jewelry from a high-stakes investment locked in a safe to a daily tool for self-expression.
And that desire for daily functional self-expression seamlessly connects to the second massive boom category, smart frames.
Yes.
Wearables are currently the fastest growing accessory category on the market, boasting a 9% annual growth rate.
Which brings us to EssilorLuxottica, the massive eyewear conglomerate. They partnered with Meta, and they have finally managed to make smart glasses cool.
They really did.
Their Ray-Ban Meta glasses have already moved 2 million units. And Rocco Basilico, EssilorLuxottica's wearables chief, detailed their upcoming display glasses. These feature a screen built directly into the lens, controlled seamlessly by subtle hand gestures via a paired bracelet.
It sounds like sci-fi.
It really does. The stated goal is to lift people up so we collectively stop walking down the street staring down at glowing rectangles. But, I mean, we have seen the tech industry attempt this before.
Oh, Google Glass.
Yeah, the highly publicized Google Glass era was a clunky, monumental flop. Why is 2026 the year face computers actually achieved mass adoption?
What's fascinating here is the complete reversal in product engineering. Previous iterations, like Google Glass, were engineered by tech companies who prioritized the microchip over the aesthetic.
They look terrible.
They looked like cyborg gadgets, which immediately alienated everyday consumers. But EssilorLuxottica approached the Meta partnership with an uncompromising design-first mandate.
Yeah.
They refused to alter the classic, iconic Ray-Ban Wayfarer silhouette. Their engineers had to figure out how to hide the cameras, batteries, and processors entirely within the existing acetate frames.
That's brilliant.
By making the glasses look indistinguishable from a classic pair of shades you've worn for decades, they entirely removed the social stigma of the technology.
So they prove that even when you are selling groundbreaking augmented reality, aesthetics and brand heritage still dictate the market.
Absolutely.
Which leads to a really tough question. If tech and accessible luxury are winning the day, how does a traditional high-priced heritage fashion brand survive?
Well, they are being forced to play the elevation game. And every tier of the industry is playing this game right now.
Even the cheap ones.
Yes. In the value segment, fast fashion retailers like H&M and Bershka have systematically eliminated their lowest price SKUs by 15 to 25%.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they are trying to artificially elevate their perceived quality to distance themselves from ultra-low-cost, high-volume juggernauts like Shein.
That's super interesting. But the luxury tier, however, they miscalculated their elevation strategy terribly over the last few years.
And I got greedy.
Many legacy brands pushed their prices so high, so fast, that they completely alienated their core aspirational shoppers. And Burberry is the ultimate 2026 case study in how to fix this.
They really are.
For years, previous leadership tried to force Burberry to become an ultra-high-end leather goods house, attempting to compete directly with Chanel by pushing massively expensive $3,000 handbags.
Which just wasn't them.
It didn't work at all. Now, their new CEO, Joshua Schulman, is executing a hard pivot back to reality.
Right. Schulman is recentering the brand around globally understood Britishness. He is focusing exclusively on the categories where Burberry actually holds authentic historical authority.
Like the trench coats.
Outerwear and cashmere scarves, exactly. He stopped trying to force an exorbitant handbag onto a consumer who simply didn't view the brand that way.
And crucially, he is fixing their broken pricing pyramid. Burberry had alienated loyal customers with pieces like a 600-pound, boxy, oversized runway polo shirt.
Insane for a polo.
Schulman axed it and brought back the classic, much more accessible 300-pound Eddie polo with the subtle check trim. So what does this all mean? In a retail landscape that is suddenly dominated by generative AI search bots, autonomous shopping agents, and lab-grown materials, is retreating to heritage and traditional British outerwear actually a viable long-term strategy? Or is Burberry just stubbornly refusing to adapt?
Well, heritage is actually the perfect antidote to digital fatigue.
Oh, I like that.
Think about it. The more our daily decisions are managed by algorithms and autonomous agents, the more humans crave authentic, tangible history and real craftsmanship.
Right.
We value the story woven into a trench coat. But the vital caveat, the one Schulman recognized, is that heritage only sells if the brand respects the consumer's intelligence and their wallet.
You can't just trick them.
Exactly. Yeah. You cannot price gouge your loyal, long-time customer base under the guise of brand elevation and expect them to stick around.
Wow. We have covered a massive amount of ground today. We started with the immediate visceral shock of global tariffs, entirely rewriting the supply chain and forcing brands to radically streamline their offerings.
It's been a journey.
We explored the rapid rise of AI, moving from back-office cost-cutting to agentic AI shopping agents that are killing traditional SEO.
Bro.
We saw how you, the consumer, are demanding undeniable value, fueling the highly profitable tech-driven resale market and the architectural arms race of holistic wellness spaces.
Yep.
We looked at the psychology driving the boom in accessible lab-grown diamonds and design-first smart glasses. And finally, we watched legacy, luxury brands like Burberry humble themselves, recalibrate their pricing, and return to their authentic roots.
It is a landscape defined by fascinating paradoxes. Consumers want hyper-advanced AI to do the grueling work of finding their clothes. But they desperately want the clothes themselves to possess tangible heritage, humanity, and lasting value.
And the biggest takeaway for you listening to this deep dive is that as a consumer in 2026, you hold an unprecedented amount of power.
You really do.
The brands are no longer dictating the terms from a runway. They're actively scrambling to align with your personal values, to seamlessly integrate into your evolving tech habits, and to mathematically prove they are worthy of your wallet.
And if we project these trends just a few years forward, the convergence of agentic AI and the massive boom in the resale market creates a truly mind-bending scenario.
So lay it on us.
Imagine a near future where your personal AI shopping agent automatically scans your digital wardrobe. It registers that you haven't worn a specific designer jacket in 6 months.
Okay.
Without you ever lifting a finger, the agent authenticates the item via its digital passport, lists it on The RealReal, negotiates the optimal sale price with another user's AI agent, and immediately deploys those newly acquired funds to purchase the exact lab-grown diamond piece you searched for yesterday.
Is our closet about to become a fully automated algorithmic stock market trading in the background of our lives? That is a wild thought to leave you with. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. Surviving the Jenga game of the modern economy requires a totally new playbook. Keep questioning what you buy, why you buy it, and what invisible mechanics are helping you find it. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.